Thankfully, with the impact driver, that screw came out. I did a quick look on Moss and I don't see that available, but I got to do something because I can't put that thing back in. So now I think I need to get a counter shaft replacement rod before I take this thing out. I went to the store and got a 3/4 inch cold rolled steel rod. Cold rolled so it's more accurate. And I cut a piece off here, ground the ends nice and smooth, and that's going to be my counter shaft replacement shaft. So I made it just a little smaller than this, which I hope is going to be right. So now I'm going to take out the cover on this side, and this guy doesn't just fall out here. Oh, there he goes. So it should be close to getting this thing apart. And I forgot to mention, but the 6 bolts that held the adapter plate on went in these holes here, had sealant around the threads. So I guess they were trying to prevent oil from coming through from the gearbox. Not sure if that's required or not, but something to look at as I put it back together. Okay, there's a look at the counter shaft cover. Looks symmetrical. And that's where it came off. There's the counter shaft, and I can just with my finger easily push that out. And you can see it popping out the back here. Ooh, it doesn't want to go. Oh, there it goes. I don't want to push it out too far and lose anything. This is the reverse shaft in the shadow, and the threaded hole is where the retaining screw went. So I'm going to push my replacement bar in and see if that comes out. I might as well see if I can do it live. Ooh, a little resistance there. It's one-handed, but okay, that should be about it. There it is. Okay, I definitely cut that replacement for the counter shaft too long at around 7.5 inches because it just barely drops down. I mean, it's just inside of the edge there and down, and just inside of the edge here and down. You can see the blue end of the replacement shaft. So that was very close, and I couldn't get it back out because it had partially fallen and it's hard to pick it back up. So I think 7 inches would be a much better length for that. But anyway, I think it's dropped down far enough now, so I'm going to take this this bearing out and see what happens. Okay, I wasn't really expecting this, but when this bearing comes out, it's actually the whole shaft comes out. So it's loose around here, easy to come out, and it's tight on the shaft here. Sometimes it's hard to tell this from the descriptions and looking at pictures in the book, but if I pull this out, you can see the whole thing, the whole shaft is coming out. I can't push it in with one hand. So now I'm going to use the puller, I guess, behind this snap ring and the end of the shaft to pull the bearing off of the shaft. Actually, I'm not liking that idea. I don't want to pull on this ring and press on the shaft because that puts all the force on the bearings. So maybe I have to read some more in my book. I kind of stopped looking at it, but if I tap the front bearing out and then the input shaft can come off, maybe that lets me do something. Okay, I started to tap that out and it moved out a little bit, and thankfully I rotated this and it was starting to get tight. So I think it's hitting the counter shaft in the bottom. It's actually not dropped down far enough because the rod I put in is too long, and it's thrust washers or something. So I'm gonna have to fight to get that lined up so I can take that rod out and probably just let everything fall down at the bottom at this point. I was hoping to take it out intact, but I think I blew my chance. All right, the input shaft is out. So I tapped with a rounded edged dowel and came out pretty easily, but you can only really pound it on the top. So then it gets a little cockeyed in there. And what really helped was to get in here and kind of pry out the bottom and then tap it, pry out the bottom and tap it so it didn't distort anything. And so now I got to get this out, which is all going to fall apart if I don't wire it or something. But I don't want to. I think the other guy, last guy, just smashed this down and drove it out by pounding the shaft in. I don't really like that idea, so I have to look. Maybe I'll end up pulling it by this ring, even though I don't like that either. Hey, buddy. More belly rub? How's that, buddy?